If there's one thing I've learned in the 20 plus years of running businesses, it's that you're always surprised by what actually is successful. You try out all sorts of different things, and maybe your intuition is right, but in the end, there are surprises along the way of what people really want. You discover these things that people are really interested in that you didn't necessarily think would work. I want to show you something, a Kickstarter that's just about to end for the Rapid Fire Dice Box, and how it's one of those like lightning in a bottle things where it's like somebody had an idea, Mike Hancock's had an idea, he put it together, and I'm sure it's existed before, and it's just the way he made it and marketed it that it just clicked. Let's take a look at it. So these are Rapid Fire Dice Boxes, trademark, and they're 3D printable. They basically look, this is the GW one. I'll show you what they look like when they're closed. But they look like these sea cans, these crates. But when you open them up, they can hold a bunch of dice, and they allow you to quickly pull out your dice. When they jam, you just tap them, and they all go through. And when you're done rolling, you can just dump it back into the hopper. And you're able to do this just to quickly count out 5, 10, 15 dice. It's a nice place to hold your dice and to keep it. So the brilliance of this is that they're 3D printable, support free, mind you, so they print even better on FDM printers. They print in just a few hours, cost not much in PLA, and boom. You've got to paint them up, and you have really cool dice storage because they actually have a little thing on the bottom too to store dice. And you can bring them and you can use them as terrain, and you can use them just to count out your dice. So why are they so fantastic, and why has the Kickstarter done as much as it has? And the answer to that question is, I don't really know, except that I know it's a fun product. But even if you showed me this product, I wouldn't think, oh yeah, that's going to be a really, really successful Kickstarter for our industry. And yet here it is. Now, full disclosure, the reason I'm really interested in this product is because we actually have a license to print and sell it in the Mini Wargaming Forge once the Kickstarter is over. And we're fulfilling all the North American orders. So we're actually already printing off tons of these. We've already been printing lots of these in preparation for filling all the physical orders, and are printing even more. Let me just zoom out here so you can see our print setup for the FDM side. We've got another room of resin printers. Just able to crank these out. So this will be, it's nice because I don't often see Kickstarters where the product is being made literally during the Kickstarter for the orders that have already been placed. And so we're ready to go for those of you who have already backed. I don't know why I find it so interesting. Like, I've always loved building businesses and everything. And so creating products is a big part of building any business. And so you just never know what is going to be good, what's going to be interesting to people. And there's no easy way to figure out what that is. Like, there's obviously the famous, going from horses to cars. If you had asked people, what was the quote? If you asked people what they wanted when they only had horses, they'd say a faster horse. They couldn't know to ask for a car. I'm not saying the Rapid Fire Dice Box is like going from horses to cars. I'm just saying that in my careers in business, it's just like, well, what works? And when I watch Hollywood and when I watch other businesses, I realize that this is not a unique thing, because even in established industries, companies who have made lots of money struggle to figure out what's the next thing. So that's why we see so many more Space Marines and Stormcast Eternals for Games Workshop, is because they know it works, and so of course they keep doing it. Even if you wish that they covered your obscure line, or even your Death Watch or your Imperial Knights a lot more, it's like, well, in the end, they accidentally came across Space Marines because that wasn't the first thing they did. And then those started selling really well, and they realized, okay, we've got something. And then they keep creating other factions, and some of them would hit, some of them didn't. And you might blame them for that, but I can tell you that it's not completely their fault. Like, even if you market everything perfectly, you just don't know what's going to connect with your audience, which is why you have to always be experimenting, and you also need to be lucky. So it's when those two things coincide, luck and experimentation and hard work and a good working knowledge of logistics and stuff like that, that can make all of the difference in your business. I'm actually curious. Leave a comment below. What are some products or shows or anything that you've kind of come across in your life, either that you've designed or that you've seen other people design, that ended up being very popular, that you just wouldn't necessarily, if you're really honest with yourself and if you were asked before it came out if this would be something that would be popular, you wouldn't have thought so. For me, when I think about mini wargaming, for example, we started off as a store selling like Warhammer products and other things like that. And we had the YouTube channel as a way to market the store. In fact, we had more than just a YouTube channel. We had like a Daily Motion channel. We had a Blip channel. We had all these different sites that did video hosting because YouTube, while it was the biggest, still wasn't a big deal because the internet was still rather new and streaming was expensive and most people had slow internet. So I could never have guessed that the YouTube part of it would actually become a big part of our business for a long time. And then we experimented with all sorts of types of content. And I would never have been able to guess that battle reports would have become the most popular thing that we did for a long time. Because we did all sorts of things. I never thought that people would care about watching people play games of Warhammer. That just blew my mind. And then I wouldn't have guessed that narrative campaigns, that was the next thing that took us to the next level, that people cared so much about watching me tell a story with somebody else and having guys upgrade and seeing what happens on the battle and getting really invested in those characters and how the dice roll. It keeps going on and on and on. Movement trays for the Forge, it was a afterthought to put them on there, and yet that did so well for us when the Old World came out. And yet we try really hard with other stuff, and sometimes it meets with moderate success, and sometimes it just flops altogether. So and Ravaged Star is another one. Like, I would never have thought that, creating a game would get so wildly successful and that people would want it that much. I just didn't know. And we just keep experimenting with stuff. So anyways, this is a long rant to basically talk to you about this Kickstarter, which if you want to help support Tempest Terrain and us as well, because like I said, we're helping to fulfill it, which means that some of that gets kicked back to us as well as we manufacture these boxes to go out to the North American buyers at least, and they're working hard on their end in the UK to do the rest of the world. And then afterwards you'll be able to buy, you can just purchase them from us as well. And then we'll be able to print and sell those to anywhere. Or you can get the STL yourself and print it if you have a 3D printer at home. So that's all I wanted to say. I hope that you're having a great day, and happy wargaming.